Today's topic, motivation, is very interesting, and I'm sure that many of you have read many books around it, heard many of the webinars, or look at YouTube and so on. So what you will see today is my version of it. Okay, so the things I'll try to keep it, and every time I speak or want to do a session, I like to give some real stories around what actually is the topic all about. And also I like to make it real. So something that you can take back, and I hope that today's session, you will be able to practice do something on the ground. So that's the first topic. So basically before we enter into it, I would like to think about and get your view and just write one word. What according to you is motivation? If you can use the chat window and just write on it just one word, it'll be great.
Okay, we are starting to get some answers. So I'm just going to read it out.
Yeah.
Positive encouragement, recognition, motivation, something that makes you happy to deliver, self-driven, driving force, more enthused to take on more, something that drives us, feel to do it. Yeah, these are the answers so far that
okay. So whenever I did this before, I think normally everybody says similar things. So if I put a word cloud about what is actually motivation, similar words come to our mind. Things like inspiration, desire, wish, dream, action, goals, things like incentive, innovation are important elements that keep coming, and mostly that's what we associate the word motivation to. It can also be very specific to some people, like success is motivation for some, performance is motivation for some people, also supporting. So supporting other people can be very interesting for others as well. Goals actually drive us in terms of motivation. Attitude, when you actually have a positive attitude, is also motivation. And also it could be something like just an idea. So you have a wonderful idea and you want to take it to the next level. So that could be something of a motivation. And before I jump into things, maybe I want to give a scientific explanation a little bit in terms of what exactly it could be. And I'm waiting for the slide to just move. So if you talk about motivation from a scientific standpoint, it is basically somewhere between intrinsic versus extrinsic. And if you want to put it in two buckets, that's what they are. And the left-hand side, which is more like extrinsic, as the word says, it's very external motivation. So things like, if I don't do it, I might fail. Things like, I want to do it or I'm forced to do it because there is a reward or a punishment associated with that particular task or a job. Then you move to the central one, which is becoming somewhat kind of a mode where it talks about, maybe I feel guilty if I don't do it. So that's why I should. Which means that maybe you like your boss, your teacher, whoever it may be, and sometimes or your parents' expectation, and hence you may actually think that I have to do it and I should do it. Then it goes into things like, okay, I see some value in it, and maybe I know what the goal is all about, and maybe that's what I want to do it, so I might do it. And where you actually want to go is here, basically, right? In the intrinsic one, where you will take an action, and you want to do it for two reasons. It could be something like self-esteem that, drives it, which means that maybe a promotion or a better project delivery or things like there is a reward at the end of it. That could be something that really drives you. And that's also very internal feeling. It's not like somebody's told you, hence you want to do it. And the best spot to be obviously will be this, I want to. And that's the real statement of a motivation that actually lasts for a little longer than anything else. So if you see the spectrum, it goes from left to right, and possibly this is what we are talking about today. And this is just something that I read about. And if you think from a scientific standpoint, I feel this is the explanation. But I want to simplify it for everybody. And so simply, basically, what is it, right? It's an element that makes you want to wake up in the morning, right? Simple as that, each day. Makes you want to go to work or college. And I'm expecting that today's audience is a mix of different people. So I included the college and the study bit of it. And also makes you happy from within. So something that keeps you happier. It's not like because somebody said something, but you just feel that motivation brings you happiness. It energizes you. It's something that gives you a reason to be somewhere or do something. And also something where it makes you eager to act or to work. And it also acts like a reward in itself. It's not like something as a reward outside, but motivation itself is a reward. So simply the answer to the why is the motivation. That's how I would call it. And hence motivation is the driver for everything. It is the end, start and end of everything. And it is all about I want to. So that's what motivation is all about. Just so that I just wanted to put that explanation out there so that we have a base from which we can start. And this is purely my opinion of what it is, and from my experience and the people around me, what I learned. So when we talk about motivating the team, and that's the main topic of today, right? I think the biggest element of the motivating of the team starts with you. And that's an important element, because if you are not motivated, if you are not energized, if you yourself as an individual are not really up to it, then it's extremely impossible. How much ever we want to kind of ignore the fact or fake it, people will see through it. And people around us, your team members, are much more smarter than we think they are. So everything that you are actually saying or doing, they observe. So today's thing, I will start with saying, let's start with how we motivate ourselves, and then how do we actually motivate the team. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So I spoke in the beginning, maybe you read a lot of books around, what is motivation all about, where do I start, and things like that. And I'm sure you saw this before. And people say, set a goal, then make a plan, get to work, stick to it, reach the goal, and yay, and you've reached where you want to be. But like my title of the slide says, it's much easier than done. You can say it so much easier, but doing it actually is going to take a really difficult thing. And hopefully today's presentation and what I'm going to talk about, a few key tips, will actually help you, clear the air around this topic. So let me talk about what actually has worked for me from a motivation standpoint. And over the 24 years, there are many ups and downs, like how you may see for a certain individual at a certain place in their life. It's not that things have been very smooth, and just go with the assumption that all of them have their own bits of difficult times and easy times. So this slide talks about what has actually worked for me. Two things I tried to bucket into, and the first one is depend on the ecosystem around you. And what I mean by that is take advantage of everybody around you, and that's the first thing. Keeping good company. It's very, very important that you stay and encounter positive and motivated people, because this motivation and positivity is infectious, but negativity is more infectious. So I would say that look for people around. And there will definitely be many kind of people around us. It's not that we have to ignore our society and ignore our ecosystem, but it's a choice of who you want to encounter more than the others. So I would recommend that keep good company, and that's what worked for me. And talk to someone. I think there are times when you don't feel up to it or a little demotivated, you really want to say and speak to somebody. And sometimes when you suppress your feelings internally about a situation, about what's happening around you, it's a lot more difficult to, your motivation level goes down and down each time, and pulling it up makes it a lot more difficult. So basically, if you're in step 10, you go to step 8, and then finally you talk to someone, you may come back to step 9. But if you suppress your feelings and you go down to 0, and then again from 0 to 10 is a longer journey. So I think when you're feeling this, you have to have that somebody, your coach, your guide, or whoever you feel, your trust, your parents, your spouse, your friend, anybody it could be, but somebody that you can talk to openly about it. It's not that they will solve your problem, but I think a listening ear is something that we all need. And I think that actually works. And this is a little different thing, but helping others. Sometimes when you see others and you kind of help them, actually you find some kind of a different joy in that. And I think when you see other people motivated, it also motivates you to actually come back and do your thing differently. And the second cluster of the ideas that I put together, which I think worked for me, was to stay positive. And in a way, it's connected to the earlier topic, but staying positive is extremely important. And I don't mean that, whatever happens, make that effort. but try to always see the good in the bad. So I myself have gone through a company bankruptcy at one point. I think it's important. And what happened after that? And that was like, I'm just thinking about it, probably it is 15 years ago. But what actually happened after that was actually not so bad at all. And thinking about it, when I was in that situation, I would have felt that, oh my God, what's happening to my career and what's going on. But I think that actually gave a different kind of an opportunity to prove myself. So I feel that try to see the good in everything in the bad. And why I say that is related to the second one is that we can't change situations. A company is going bankrupt, and if you're not really in the position where you can make an impact, you can only take the effect of what's actually happening, or even a difficult project or wherever, anything, that current COVID situation, for example, I don't think we can do anything about it. And what we can only do is to figure out what we can do, what is in our control. And that's what I will, when I say is look for the good in the bad, keep learning. And some of these webinars that we are on today, there are so many other learning things that are happening, everything being so remote. The whole world has changed to working remotely and living their life remotely. And I think in all of these, it's a big learning in itself, but there are so many courses out there. So I truly, truly recommend everybody to do some learning. I myself registered for a particular learning and completed it. And it's very interesting. And sometimes when you have so many years of experience, you are actually doubting your learning capability like an academic course. And that gives you a lot more confidence than you actually have. So I think keep learning is an important element. And the last one I would say is that don't overthink. When I say stop thinking, it's a little too much, but I think don't overthink any situation. Don't procrastinate on some things, just do it. And if you have a project coming up, or if you have something that you want to do, there will always be things that you will not have clarity on. And that's the way that we live in, right? It's quite an ambiguous world, ambiguous situation. Sometimes we just have to do it, and then you have to deal with the consequences. But of course, you ensure that you see all the pros and cons of what you're getting into for sure, but at least make an effort to do it. I think that's my recommendation for sure. The other one I would say is vision and rewards. And when I say have a clear vision of your goal, it depends on where you are in your career and if you're still studying. But it's impossible for anybody to know where they want to be in 10, 20 years, and this is where I want to be the CEO or whatever it may be when you're still in college or just out of college. But you surely can have a goal of what you want to do in the next 3, 4, 5 years. I think that vision, goal for yourself in your life is absolutely important. And it's just like you know where you're going, and that actually drives a lot of our motivation towards doing what we want to do, learning something or putting up your hand for some difficult task, because you know for a fact that if I do this, I get there. And having that vision, or at least from a short-term standpoint, is absolutely critical. Track your progress, and that's an important element. And because all of these are self, right? These are all stuff that I'm talking from an intrinsic standpoint. That means you have to do for yourself. Track your progress, and nobody is looking at anything that you are doing. No, there is no manager, there are no performance appraisals, nothing, but this is just for yourself. Just to know how are you performing. Just take some time off and think about where are you going, how well have you done. And sometimes reflecting back and where you started to where you are is a huge thing. Because when you see something grow, it always allows you to grow further. And that's what I mean by wanting to nurture it. And third one is reward yourself. I think we sometimes are too harsh on ourselves, and we think that something buying new or going out or eating out or whatever on a holiday is too much. But I think it's an important element to reward yourself. And where we've been taught since childhood in school, and you give a chocolate when your kid says something nice or does something, I think that doesn't die with childhood. And there is always a little child in us, always. And I think rewarding ourselves is an important element of achievement, and that actually motivates you to do more. And the fourth bucket that I would say is focus on yourself and take a break. Not always that we are in a great mind or mood every day. There are times when you feel that you're a little low in energy, or you're upset about some things, and end of the day, we are all human. We are not Superman or Superwoman. And there are times when you don't feel like doing something. It's fine. Take a break, take a day off. You take holidays, and all offices actually have mandatory leave sometimes, and everybody has leave. So I think important to leverage that, take a break. I think it's very important. I also insist on this a little bit because if you are a manager, which I will talk a little bit later in the slides, is that how you behave at work and how you are, actually a lot of people are observing you constantly. And what you are actually, how you carry yourself is very contagious actually in a way. So if you are positive and you have that energy, I think the rest of the team also feels it. But if you are not really good, everybody notices that something is wrong, and their motivation getting up is a little bit more difficult. Maybe you're okay the next day and you will come back, but if they will take some time to come back to where they were at the beginning. So I think taking a day off once in a while is perfectly something that you want to be thinking about. I think another element is love yourself. And I think this is very, very key. Ankita talked earlier, but staying healthy is key. And I truly, truly believe, and I propagate this a lot. Stress is already very tiring. Whichever part of your journey you are in your life, there are many times things are very different, very stressful. At least you have to take the time to basically be healthy all the time. Meditate. I mean, because I just practice yoga, I say meditate, but maybe somebody just hitting the gym maybe is a better idea, whatever it may be, but love yourself. I think that's an important element. And know that that too shall pass. And this is very important to keep remembering, especially when there's a big obstacle in front of you. The tough times never last. Whatever it may be, always there are new things that will come up. There are better things that will always come. So remember that and remind yourself. I think that's an important element. And keep the smile on your face. I think don't let it fade away no matter what. I think that's an important element. Keep smiling. You may have heard of so many laughter clubs around us. And the only reason is that you sometimes have to fake the happiness even to your own body and mind. And that's what laughter clubs are all about, right? And I think I would say that, don't let it fade away. Keep the smile. I think that's important. So very briefly, I'll say cut the tea of the can't. And everything that I said, I think it's an important to remember, but I think just do it. I think that's the main thing. Now, if I move to motivating your team, right? How many of you have actually received some compliment from your boss that actually offends you? And there could be many things for that. And motivation is not something that you do to the people, right? It's about giving them the conditions where they feel motivated. So you can't just go there and just say, oh yeah, stay motivated. So that's a word, but it doesn't really mean anything. But if you're leading a team, you're a manager, you're a leader, I think it's important to provide conditions which can actually help motivate your teams. I think that's the important thing. And not to forget, this important element is that final choice is theirs. You can only provide a platform, you can provide conditions, but end of the day, whether they want to stay motivated or not is their choice. But what can you do about motivating them? So before I go to the topic, I'll say what not to do. And this is from an article that I read around Harvard Business Review. And there are great topics on it, but this one maybe you can actually associate with as well. This drive-by praise, and that's what I talked about earlier. There are many times when you actually walk up to the person and say, or in the cafeteria and say, oh yeah, I saw your report and it's really nice and so on. And so that feels a little informal for the effort that person would have put to get to where and so I think take time if it is really something that you want to appreciate. Put it in a formal note or in a team meetings or in town halls or whichever it may be, where it's not really like a drive-through pickup from a McDonald's, but actually you're spending time and you're doing it because you want to do it. You really appreciate the efforts that is being made and you want to appreciate. So ensure and be brave in doing that as a manager. And it's not necessary that all the team has to be praised, even if though it didn't do it. And don't fear from the fact that because if you praise somebody, what others will feel. It's very important. And if you didn't do that at one point in time for that individual who actually did the job, you're actually going to lose that person immediately than actually building the trust with that individual. So I think this drive-by praise, please don't do it. making stuff up. This is an interesting that I read, where maybe there are times when a manager says, oh, I appreciated you in front of my big boss, and they all trust you, and probably it may have happened. But if you know that the employee is looking into it and thinking that probably may not have actually happened, don't say things you haven't done or don't really mean, and you actually break the benefit of the relationship that you have by saying it instead of actually not saying anything at all. So be aware of that. And the guilt gratitude, this is an interesting one. So there are times when we forget that there is a deadline that you have to meet, and probably you went to a certain individual and asked them to stretch, do something. So don't over compensate by over exaggerating what is actually done. You can always say that, look, thank you very much for what you have done, and I know that I didn't tell you on time, but thanks for doing the work and ensuring that the report is published or project delivered or whatever it may be. So I think these are something that I would say please don't do. So once you know what you don't do, then we can go to what you should do. Instead, I would say that ask for the story. So if you really want to appreciate or motivate somebody to be on it, and I saw in the poll somebody said appreciation is an important element. A lot of study actually also proves that most of the employees feel maximum motivation by appreciation from their management, from their manager, from their leaders. Ask them the story. So maybe ask them how they accomplished it. I think just making that a story where they can actually speak and talk about it says actually two things to them, saying that first, what I delivered is actually of value to the organization. And second is, it really matters. My manager really thinks what I did really matters. I think these are the two things that you will actually accomplish by allowing them to speak and acknowledge how they actually delivered what they did. The second one is about contextualizing gratitude. And what I mean is that when most of the organizations have their visions and goals, it's very hard down in the hierarchy for the frontline person or the analyst to really understand how what I am doing actually is affecting or how is it contributing the organization vision or the goals. It's important for you to make that connect through. And I think you may have to explain to them that, look, this is a small element of a larger piece of the picture, and the picture of this is the module, and this makes it look like this. So I think that is an important thing to make them feel motivated, saying that they are not doing something that is not needed, but they're actually doing something that really matters and how it fits into the larger goal of the organization. And most organizations, when we actually have work or employ people, right, all of them contribute to something that we want to get done in the organization. But it's very hard for a person in the lowest level in the organization to really relate to it. And being maybe also with lesser years of experience, the connection may not be possible. So take time to explain how their work actually contributes to the larger strategy. I think that's important. And another one is acknowledge the cost. And what I mean by that is I can talk even from my own experience. There are times when you actually stretch on a weekend or work a little harder on the weekday, and maybe sometimes you sacrifice the time with your family on the weekends, so on, where you actually do it and your team does it as well, where they actually are working on a high visible project. So acknowledge the cost and say something like, thank you very much. And I know that you had little time on the weekend to spend with your family, but I really appreciate what is actually being done. So thanks a lot. That actually motivates, saying that you value their time. And since you actually sacrifice something yourself as an individual, somebody is actually noticing it. I think that's a very, very important element. And those were from the article, but I thought that was interesting. And I'll just talk about a few things that I think actually from my own experience. I think for me, being with the team is very, very important. Don't jump off a sinking ship or a difficult situation. Stay with them. And being part of the calls late night, or maybe it's a difficult conversation you want to be part of, make sure that you are in the team. And that is important because you need to know what actually your team is doing. And being a hands-on manager allows you to do that. So be sure that you know exactly what your team is delivering. And the second one is appeal to their emotions. And this is an important thing. Allow your team to speak. And you may or may not take any action. And sometimes it's also not possible for us to take all the actions that we actually listen to our employees. but just giving them the listening ear and allowing them to express actually is a lot of motivation for them. At least they know that somebody is listening to them. And there could be times when you can actually truly honestly speak and say that, look, I heard you, but some things we can and some things we cannot do. And that's the last line which I wrote here, is also is that keep the lines of communication open. And honesty is very important to building any relationship. And the relationship with your team is the most important thing that you want to value and which will last with you forever. And sometimes it goes beyond just the organization that you are in. There are so many people from your past who want to be connected with you because they see who you are, and honesty goes a long way. And I think the third point I write there is be the change you want to inspire. And what I mean is that if you want somebody to take on a big challenge, showcase that you can do it. If you want them to sign up for something which is ambiguous, show them that you can deal with something that is also ambiguous. I think it's important to walk the talk, and most of the time people are inspired and motivated and thinking that, okay, I see somebody do it, probably I can do it. And that's the big change that you can do for your team. I think that's what I mean by be with your team. And the next one is about opportunities for self-development. And today, where we are in the current situation, many of us are working from home or studying from home or whatever it may be. That means that you have actually cut down a lot of your commute time and things that you have to get here, or your trains or the buses or anything else that you want to catch to get to there. But I think we actually gain some time positively and use that to upskill yourself, learn your skill. I think it's an important element, and it's also important to show this to your teams. Allow them to actually self-develop. And in the current situation, things are changing so dramatically. I think it's important to be up to speed of in your particular domain, what is actually changing, and guiding them for that. I think that is some big benefit that you will do to your team, and they will really thank you and stay motivated all their life. I can guarantee that. And also new skills, new projects. It's similar to the one. I think it's important to help them build a new skill. And I think it goes a long way in terms of motivating them, building their self-confidence. And in times like such as these, it also gives them an opportunity to change their area of work, for example. Maybe it's something that they can do differently tomorrow. And encourage happiness. There are times when not all projects go very well. Don't punish failures. What I mean by that is, of course, you may be upset with an individual, but don't do it in front of the team. I think appreciation in front of the team, and anything that you want to give feedback that a little bit more straightforward, I think do it in private, do it one-on-one. And I think this actually takes a long way, and you can actually say feedback the way you want it because you want them to grow end of the day. And it's important to ensure that you don't punish it. And when something good happens, showcase that that individual in your team actually delivered it. And that's actually is a big motivation for your team. I can guarantee that. So this was my experience, what I think you can do. And when will motivation, when will motivation not last? I would say is that when money is the only reward and you can't think of anything else, or you see only an immediate benefit, or when it is not long lasting and you have no vision of your long-term goal, but you only can see it only now. And you're not really understanding why, and you just are doing and you're going with the flow. And when people say go with the flow, I have a huge problem with that, because you can't just go with the flow. You need to know why you are in the flow. I think that's an important element of why motivation will not last. And before I take any questions, I leave it with one thing that I read from Zig Ziglar, which the quote says like this: people often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. So that's what I'll end here. I hope it was useful. And now I'll open up for any questions.
Thank you, Padma. Thank you so much for this very informative and motivating session, if I might add. As Padma mentioned, we are open to have questions now. So from the audience, in case you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box, and we'll be spending next 10 minutes on the questions. Yeah. I think there's a big comment which has come from...
Yeah, I see one comment around the fear. So maybe I can give my perspective. And
sure.
I may not be able to answer everything that you're asking, but I'll make an attempt. Why can't fear be a motivation force? And in the corporate world, and if you're looking at a different perspective, maybe, but I feel that if there is fear, the motivation is very limited time it stays. So maybe you want to get over something, and something big, heavy standing in front of you, and you want to get over it, probably there's a motivation to cross the bridge. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a fire behind you and you have to run. So probably there is, but that is a contextual element, right? Because in that context, I feel that fear is a motivation factor. But for motivation to stay longer in terms of where you want to go is a long-term thing. And that's what I was trying to address. Where you want to go in your life, what you want to do is something that's a little long-term. So I would say, at least my view, I think will be that fear can definitely be one, but it's very short-lived. You may do it for the sake, and it may be for the context standpoint, but I would say that it may not really last too much. You really need to know why you're doing it. Maybe fear is something that is like a camouflage on that situation, but if somebody explained that why you have to do it, probably it will stay longer.
Right, right. I think we have a couple of more questions as well. Preetham is asking how to stop overthinking.
I wish I could give you just a formula. The thing I'll say is just do it. Just jump straight into it, right? And there are times in your life when you have questions and you think that you don't have answers to all of them. Just do it. So Preetham, just do it. And whatever comes out of it, we'll face it. But at least that will make you, and always, right? When you think about the journey versus the destination, the anxiety is through the journey, right? Once you reach the destination, most of the time, it's blah, in the sense that, you know, okay, oh, I have been here. Okay, maybe there's joy, but the anxiety is a feeling and is an emotion that has stayed with you for longer than the emotion of happiness when you reach the destination. So I think the anxiety is only because when you're thinking process, but when you reach and do it, probably that anxiety goes away and you're, okay, you didn't think that it was so bad. So I'll say, Preetham, just do it.
Right. There's one question about how do you manage and make few employees when they only get motivated for money or short-term incentives and not connected to the overall organizational goals?
Yeah, and that's an important element, right? When I say money and so on, I am not discounting the fact that we are all working for money and money is not an important element. I'm not saying any of that stuff. What I'm only saying is that when you talk about motivation, it is beyond just the money. And when you the money element, and many times when you think about employees, right? Not all employees are the kind who will only stay saying that, okay, if I get 15%, I will stay, but if I get 10%, I will leave. Okay. That may be the mindset we all had at one point in time, but there is some other glue that makes you stay with the organization. And what is that, right? There could be because you like your boss, or maybe you like your work, maybe you like your colleagues, maybe you like your work environment. Maybe there is something about learning in the whole process. So what I mean is that you can't disconnect them from, you know, thinking just, okay, I won't give you money, but stay motivated. But I think you can take it to a certain level, but explain to them what else is there in whatever they're doing. Show them the aspect that maybe it's a new technology they're learning. It is a big thing on their resume. When you actually put something around emerging tech, for example, or any new domain skills that you're building, is a new thing on the resume. So I think that actually helps them learn and saying that I'm not doing only for this job, but it actually allows me to grow in the industry. So I would say that explain to them a little bit more than just the work. Explain to them a little context, show them where the growth path is if they actually achieve it.
Right, right. I think there's a similar question, which is around a pat on the back works more than a fat paycheck. What's your view? So it's...
Yeah, so I will say that I think the truth is somewhere in between. So of course there's a pat in the back and you may think that, wow, I did well and so on, but paycheck matters also, right? So I think that the truth is somewhere in between, but definitely, like I mentioned in the earlier comment that I just made, is that I think it's not about the money always. It's not only about it, but appreciation goes a long way. So I think both are important. And I think from that standpoint, if people are appreciated enough, and if there are times when your organization is going through a tough time, they will not all leave you. They will stay with you to just see and be with you because they really believe in your vision, in your goal, because they're already motivated and they know where exactly you're going with your firm. So I think the truth is somewhere in between.
Right. Thank you, Padma. The next question is, were there instances where your seniors failed to motivate you?
So I use the self-motivation techniques. Let's say that.
Right.
So, but I think there are many times, okay? And when you look at your own, work environment, there are always your people that you look up to, and they may not be really in your working hierarchy. For example, they may be experienced people in the organization, and in the way organizations are run today, you have access to a lot of senior management, even wherever you are. And most of the time, the glass ceiling of whether I can reach to that person or not is in our own head, right?
Yeah.
Approach and say, I have a certain thing, I want to brainstorm with you, I want to know your view on this. Most of the time, they're open to that kind of suggestion. So I would say that there were people in the organization who actually motivate, but I think a lot of it is self-driven, right? I think what I mean by that is that there are times when you want to be like your idol. And once you actually want to be like that, you already are having your shorter term goals about where you want to go in your life. So I think it's about looking at your entire environment and seeing what best you can do. And I think self-motivation is the best key.
Thank you, Padma. The next question is, how to overcome with fear at work with teams, subordinate, boss, superiors, top level management.
How to overcome fear? I think fear is associated with confidence. I think that's what is the starting point. So what are you scared of? Okay. Is it not that you don't have enough knowledge? Is it that you don't have enough help around you? Is it the work environment? Is it your colleagues? So in your mind, first box them, saying what are you scared about, right? Which element of it? And once you are able to put that elements in those boxes, I think it's easier to tackle them. And the best way of doing it, maybe if you don't have enough knowledge, you've taken on a new role and you don't have enough knowledge, build a knowledge. If you have a colleague who's extremely difficult to deal with, have the conversation. If it is a manager, and maybe change a project. I don't know. It depends on your situation particularly. But I think fear is associated with confidence. The more self-confidence you are, I think the fear is diminished to that extent.
Right. Thank you, Padma. Next question is, how not to get hurt by someone's words.
I can tell you how I deal with, I don't know if it works for you or not, but see, there are so many people in our life who we are associated with, be it family or friends or colleagues or whoever it may be. There are only some things that I take in for myself, in the sense that the feedback coming from a certain individual matters to me more than it comes from somebody else. And that's how I am able to put the glass ceiling and say that this doesn't matter to me. And people will say things, right? But you can't really stop them from doing it. And like I mentioned, you can't stop everything around you, but you can definitely control how you react to it.
Right.
That's the important thing that you want to maybe think about, saying, don't react. And sometimes the old philosophy of counting 1 to 10 or sleep over it or something like that will kind of help. But I think we're all human. End of the day, you will feel bad. But I think, like I mentioned also, is that talking to somebody is also very key. Sometimes you want to share your feelings. You don't want to suppress all your feelings of fear, anxiety within yourself. I think saying that to somebody, having that one trusted person or few trusted people, I would say works actually very well.
Thank you, Padma. Next question is more like a comment, plus I would like to understand your opinion also. How often do we explore the idea of reportees motivating their seniors, considering motivation is more of a human aspect and not top-down approach? Can employees realize that by being motivational to even their seniors, they might get themselves pinned in a positive way?
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I talked about earlier also, right? Help others, right? You want to help others, not because, and it doesn't have to be in any hierarchy. If your context today was about how I motivate my team, but surely there are elements that you actually get motivated from your team members. For example, somebody who's constantly learning, somebody who's doing their certifications constantly, somebody who's actually very brave for being very, very still young, I would say. I think it's a big motivation. And definitely, I would say that you look around. I think the whole ecosystem, looking around and seeing what actually happens around you, there are so many things that will help motivate you, right? But the thing is, what lens are you looking at with? When you look for the positive elements, you find everything wow. There is never a day in my life when I think, wow, I didn't know that. And I feel that, oh, that person does very well. Yeah, and maybe recently you would know Dhoni retired and we saw all of that news, but he is a huge inspiration for many of us, I'm sure. He absolutely has control on his emotions, and he's so calm in such a situation which is so tough. The entire country, billions of people are looking at him, just not in India, and then more people from around the world. And then he's in the last over, he has to ensure that he plays to make India win. It's a big deal. And I think there are so many like those people, but it depends on how you look at it, right? And if you think that, wow, that's something that is really that you want to be inspired by, it's great. But if you think that, oh my God, he's like emotionless, that's a different story. So always everything will have its positive and negative elements, and the more good you want to see, the more good you will see.
Right, right. Thank you, Vedna. There are like a lot of questions, so I'm just going to ask them. Every individual have different motivation factors. So, do you think, as manager handling, say, 5 or more number of people, should see from different point of view instead of only one way?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that, see, when I talked about motivation, right, it is very personal. And what I talked about, it's like you will be motivated by your manager or anybody only when they look at you different from others, right? That is the main concept of motivation. When somebody calls out saying, Priya, you did great in front of the team, you feel really good. And that's the pat on the back that we are talking about. And when you, I think that's what actually says it. And when I talked about things about allow them to tell the story, you are giving them the stage to give them that view of how did they achieve it. And you're doing that because you know them. In managing a team, I can tell you for sure that there is no way that you can have one size fits all strategy. And that's what is all about, situational leadership. When they talk about, that's what it is. There are people, there are different people in your team. All of them are in different mindset. You can't change them to look at how they are thinking about a particular situation, but you can actually fine tune the way that you will address them. And that's the only way, that's the job of a manager, a leader, I would say. And only if you do that, actually you are able to motivate them to that level and give them that space and allow them to grow. And you cannot, there is no shortcut to this. And I have been managing teams for over 15, 20 years. I can tell you for sure that is the only way it works. And the temperament of one individual is so different from the others. What motivates one is so different from the other person. You can never have it, but you can actually spend time to know who they are. I think if you don't have that feeling and you don't know what it is, I think that's important. And also be honest. They may be expecting something that you can't deliver. As a manager, say that, look, this is possible or this is not possible. Be ready to give them the bad news. And once the relationship of with your individual is built, right, they'll be open to take even the bad news. And I know that there'll be some people who are really not so happy about the situation, but it's something that they have to deal with. But honestly, go a long way. But I think that you have to know your team. And that's why the span of control is very key. If you have 20 people to manage, it's impossible as a manager to know each and every one and do it. But if you have a structure of 5, 6, 7 people, it's better, and you can easily know who they are, what actually motivates them, and fine tune what you have in your kind of catalog to make an a la carte for them. Otherwise, it's not possible to have one size fits all. And I'm sorry to say that there are no shortcuts.
Right, right. I think Indira had a similar question. She's asking, in a team of 5 to 6 people, half like to work and get motivated, but others pull back saying, it's not right. So how to manage
Yeah.
it? So I think you have kind of answered the same question.
Yeah.
So I think I have a question before we close, Padma.
Yes, sure.
You know, in especially in COVID time when everyone is working from home, and you know people are in very different mindsets from each other. So sometimes the performance of an individual is not really because of lack of motivation at work, but the things that are happening maybe at
Yeah.
home or you know in the society, and that kind of impacts some people. So at that
Yeah,
point
sure.
of time where you know the performance is not getting impacted because of the work style or the work motivation, but there are other very practical factors. So that time, what
Yeah.
is the responsibility of a leader, of you know like a team leader, to kind of motivate them, because
Yeah.
their place as a professional is very different from the kind of problems that they are facing.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of manage that situation?
Yeah. And see, and the situation that we are in right now is so unique that the whole world is in it, right? It's not that only one part of the city or one country. It's like, so first of all, I think it's important to acknowledge all sailing in the same boat, right? Exactly the same. And so that you feel that you're not the only one who's impacted, and why me? There is no why me. This most of the time, that's what is the starting of the all the problems of being more negative. So I think this particular mode we are in, there is no why me. It's all of us. Okay. And the second is when you're actually managing a team and you're seeing them every day, it's very different in a normal situation. But in the situation that we are in, I think empathy plays a key part. Acknowledge the fact that sometimes, things are very different. So I think be a little bit emotional about the situation and at least have communication. So, you have so many ways of communicating with your team, be it WhatsApp or be it things around, your corporate communications, and so many leverage to over communicate. So maybe on the floor, you may not actually somebody sitting just outside your office or beside your desk somewhere. You may actually just say a hi or smile on a normal day. I think take time to ping them, ask them, how are you? Do one-on-one sessions just to ensure that they're all feeling okay in what they're doing. So I think that is the way. And I think over communication is only the key, and showing that we are all sailing the same boat is itself is a big deal, because we'll all be safe together, I guess.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Prima, for taking out time and doing this amazing session with us. Audience, thank you so much for attending today's session. I hope it was really useful and fruitful to all of you. Padma, any last words before we close in for today?
No, like I said, my last words are the last slide. Motivation is not something that you do once and you're done. It's not like
Right.
painting a wall and you don't have to look at it for a while. I
Right.
think you have to nurture it every day. So I'll say that think about it, stay positive and help your teams and help yourself. So, and stay safe. And I'm sure that we'll be meeting soon in a different forum. Maybe it's a different context. Maybe we'll do it live. I don't know, but we will be.
Thank you, Padma.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
audience.
Thanks
Thank you.
for the great audience, great questions. And I'm sure we didn't answer all the questions, but everything that I said was very generic, because the audience also is quite generic, but I hope that it's useful. Feel free to share your feedback, and we'll take it from there. Thank you so much.